Hello and welcome. This is a test. Sorry if that music was a little bit too loud. May have to try to figure out where the settings to that sound is. And uh, Gonna be going live. I don't know for how long. I am limited with as far as time wise, but I'm gonna try to get something up and running. I am figuring out the link, and feel free to jump in if you see the link or if you want to engage in the conversation. And conversation is something that I guess I'll get started on talking about. Um, I know that we can't really go in a day or in a week without talking to someone other than a family member, by and large, especially if you're an adult and you're working to make a living, etc. So, conversation, because we do it so often, you would think we would be good at it. I mean, at least, I mean, you would think. And I already have gray hair, so I'm not a young buck. And once I started reflecting on what exactly it is that I do, and well, not exactly, not exactly acing it, so to speak. I could get better, I suppose. And part of that conversation is active listening. I think today's live stream had some of that notion, and if not, at least within the week or so. But so a quick takeaway is perhaps something that might stumble some of us when it comes to active listening and the whole concept of another person's idea or another person's perspective or perfect another perspective when it comes to a different value system, or even tribal, right? Uh, this institution, this political view, etc. When it comes to talking to somebody, to understand someone's point of view implies that you don't have to accept their point of view, right? Um, and or maybe the fear is that if you really understand their point of view, that you might just end up being persuaded, and therefore you have to adopt their new point of view. You have to conform. Um, Maybe that's a small percentage of the population, but um, perhaps maybe that's why I was guard fencing, tribalistic in a way, or pushing my my institution, or I'm assuming. Um, why is it so hard to understand another person's perspective, another person's um, institution, without adopting it? Right, understand where they're coming from without actually being persuaded and saying, "Well, I understand it, so now I must adopt it." I guess you can disagree, understand why someone believes what they believe, and still disagree, in my opinion. And I think what I heard today is how we react. Are we proactive or reactive? And that does make a difference, especially if we're doing this on a daily basis with family, at work, or whatnot. Engaging and reacting. Now, when it comes to reaction, I guess there's a lot of gray area, but to give specifics, constructive versus destructive, and I guess the proactive versus reactive implies some intention or some awareness, and I think that might be where some of this might come into play as far as when we engage in TLC, when we engage in other people's live stream, because we know that in this ecosystem, there's a lot of different perspectives, there's a lot of different traditions that people adhere to, and when I think we're understanding that, and that's okay. We don't have to persuade them towards this camp or that camp. At this point, I believe the intention is to just try to understand each other in order to grow a relationship. And will that yield fruit? My opinion is, yeah. I think we can all benefit from getting to know more people. And YouTube, what did Luke Thompson say? We're using YouTube to undo what YouTube is doing, and they're doing it. It's what's happening, the AI slop and the talking heads, and as far as pushing certain agendas, so they're really making people really tribal. And we're actually, I believe, we're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to undo that, not to push one tribe over the other. More like an attempt at fellowship instead of debate warfare. Not that there's anything wrong with debates. I do believe that we should bring debates back. There's a time and place for everything, but a conversation should not be a debate. A conversation should not be an argument. And sure, conversations are for ideas, but is there a better way to have that conversation? I'm learning, yes. And learning these tools, can they help? My opinion is yes, that also. And I know that being on YouTube is kind of like, well, is this a performance ordeal? Is this going to end up being propheticity, the simulacra? And I think what TLC is doing is not going towards that we are pushing against the machine. And could it be that because some of us are aware of what has been going on as far as our technologies are changing us, because we keep changing the technologies and we use the technologies, and it will end up changing how we do every day, and including social media, and how we're influenced by this trend, that trend, this influencer, that influencer, this breaking news from, etc. Fill in the blank, correct? So what does the future hold? I think none of us really truly know what the future might hold. And how do we participate in conversation in real life and also virtually? Because, is it a good thing to not be alone virtually, right? It's a tool. And as long as we are proactive and we use it in a constructive way and not in a destructive way, I think it will continue on. There's lots of people in the flotilla. There's different ways to engage. And yes, everybody comes from a different angle and everybody has different ways of seeing things. And the way I will quickly say is, if I'm looking, if we have 10 people looking at this big, awesome mural that it's telling a story, and each 10-foot section has an episode, as a metaphor, right? And so there's 10 different episodes. So each section tells a different tale, and each person can stand in the middle of that 10-foot section, and they can see those. And then the periphery, maybe that's after 10, you can't really see the details. So everybody's seen a different perspective. So not everyone can see the whole perspective, but everybody has a little innuendo to each episode. And somebody else might have a different perspective because they're looking at a different episode and a different section of the mural. So I think we can grow, and I think, yes, I understand that people have different perspective, but that is a good thing. I think that's actually a good thing. I lost the frame how we say that's it's not a glitch, but it's yeah. Anyways, well, like I said, I don't have too much time, but I did want to try a little bit of branding. That was a glimpse of what I've trying to do. I wanted to animate that, and that's not quite the finished branding for, because I'm going to try to host live streams in the future. I don't have a set schedule yet. I'm still trying to figure things out, but whenever possible. And the reason why I thought about doing this, because I've been hesitant too, is that when I do have free time, sometimes there's nobody going live. I know I'm always, well, it seems like I'm listening to live streams once they're said and done, like the next day or a few hours after the fact. I'm like, it'd be nice if somebody was on right now. But so maybe this is my attempt of, well, somebody is online right now when I do have free time. And hopefully this might, well, I don't have the schedule yet, but hopefully when I do have the schedule, some other people might actually have the same opening free time, and they might be able to engage. I do understand that I do have anyways, some people might be like, well, maybe not. We will see. Should I leave it there? Well, do I have an outro? Well, did I add? I don't know if I added an outro. Well, maybe I'll just leave it at that. So look for me going live. I will try to figure this thing out. I will try to figure out the volume. So it's at the same volume as my mic, but I don't think I got that, and I'm planning to animate that a little bit more. I'm working on an outro, but I don't think I plugged it in. I don't even know if I have the chance to add it now. Where is my, maybe I won't be able to, what does this do? Let's see. Maybe, let me see if I can find, let's see. Well, this is, wait, I have, well, is it, oh, this is, it's on, does it have volume? Well, this is not exactly an outro, but making, anyway, that's it. So until next time, I will try to see if I can make it less quirky. All right, till next time, see ya.